Alright, hello and welcome everybody. I am back finally after some type of absence. I've spent a few days to kind of just cool off mentally and kind of get myself back together, so to speak. And I think it's very important to take care of yourself both mentally and physically. And sometimes you just need to take the load off, and just like get yourself screwed on straight and allow yourself that time to be able to get what you need to get done and and stuff to make yourself better. And that's what I've been doing, and so that's why I've been absent. Plus, with school starting up, with college starting up again, and having to do that and focus on that. The good news is one, I finally finalized, or I should have finalized my streaming schedule. So Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be my newer streaming schedule. Because I get out earlier enough on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I don't have class on Friday, so I don't have to worry about getting up early in the morning to go to school. So it's one of my days off, and that allows me to get the homework and stuff that I need to get done and other things, which is awesome. I'm happy that I have Fridays off, so that kind of means like a 3-day weekend. Don't have to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, to get up and get ready to go to class. So that's gonna be pretty much the streaming schedule from now on. Unless said otherwise. Obviously was that instance where I didn't stream, for I think maybe 3 or 4 days. And there will be periods where I don't stream. There's some days where I'm just not feeling it, don't have the energy. But I wanted to come back today because I missed streaming. I missed, even after a couple days of, being off and kind of cleansing myself, if you will, of mentally and making sure that everything is okay. I wanted to come back strong, and I'd rather come back 100% than come back 75% or less. And I'm in a much better place now, and I'm ready to do this and ready to get the RCW stuff back going again. So last episode we saw Kenny Omega play a couple mind games with Seth Rollins, and Luna Outlaw obviously gained the opportunity to face that woman right there, Mercy Phantom, for the RCW Women's Championship at the next pay-per-view. So I still have to make the arena for the pay-per-view here in 2K19. We've been using 2K19 simply because 2K20 is still kind of buggy a little bit. So to ensure that there are no issues and no crashing and none of that crap, we're using 2K19 because I know that that's what works for a fact, and I know that isn't gonna cause any issues. Obviously, the My Career Universe Mode series that you guys are used to seeing on my YouTube channel with Luna Outlaw and Brian Outlaw, that is in 2K20, simply because that part of the game isn't messed up. So I want to try to use the brand new game, use WWE 2K20 for the newer stuff. And once a patch comes out or something that comes out to fix the issues that we've been having, or I've been having, and multiple other people have been having with 2K20, then we will kind of test the waters and see if, we can make a full switch to 2K20 and actually have 2K20 and be able to utilize that, because I love some of the features in that game. It's not much different than 2K19, but some of the stuff that you can do within 2K20 prove beneficial to the content that I like to produce. So we are 2 episodes away from the first pay-per-view of Season 6. And I'm really excited about it. We still have yet to determine Zero's opponent. And the Undisputed Era, obviously gaining the RCW Tag Team Championships in that Tag Team tournament that we've had a couple episodes ago. That was something that we had a couple episodes ago, and they gain those titles. They will defend them. As under RCW rules, all titles must be defended at pay-per-views. No matter who it is, all titles must be defended. But we all know that Luna Outlaw is one of those people that will be contending for the women's title in the near future. So that should be exciting, as Mercy Phantom will defend her title, and I believe that it is her first title defense since gaining the title. If my calculations are correct and my whole thing is correct, it'll be the first time that Mercy Phantom actually defends the title after winning it from Noelle Diamond a while back. And she starts off with a spine buster and a count of 1 here. I thought it may have been a 2 count, but got a little ahead of myself there. Snapmare takedown there. And the good news is we have, Chaotic and I, we had held our tournament, our EWL Epic Wrestling League tournament for the women, and that turned out amazing. I stayed up the entire stream. It went, I think, from 8, almost around 9 o'clock Eastern time to midnight, around there, and I stayed up for the entirety of the stream. I'm pretty sure I can tell Chaotic to download that, and maybe we can get that on the website, because that's something that we both tried our hardest on, and I would love for you guys to see that, if you guys haven't. Obviously, it's in his VODs on his Mixer channel, so you can watch it that way, but I would love it to have like a permanent home on the website so you guys can watch it, because that was amazing. It was really fun. We had an opening video that we did that I edited together with Chaotic's help. He recorded the entrances and did some of the edits, and then I did the voiceovers and added the songs to it. We had, it was a blast. It was a fun time. And it was definitely one of the coolest things I've ever done, like creative-wise. It was one of the coolest things that I've ever done, creative-wise. As Mercy Phantom with the reversal here on Tessa Blanchard. And the multiple kicks into a clothesline there. Now, we already seen Luna attack Mercy Phantom once, and I'm pretty sure we may see that again. Who knows? Is Mercy looking for no mercy here on Tessa Blanchard, looking to finish her off. Connects with it, goes into the pin. Goes into the pin cover here. 1, 2. Almost had Tessa Blanchard there, but she kicked out at 2.5. And the RCW Women's Champion proving and showing her will here against somebody like Tessa Blanchard of that pedigree. So, who knows, maybe Tessa will find herself in the championship title picture, as she is the first ever Impact world champion. She captured the Impact World Championship held by Sami Callihan, formerly held by Sami Callihan. So it's the first time a female in the company's history that has done that, which is amazing, considering the world that we live in right now, and the wrestling industry being the way that it is. I think it's pretty awesome that she was able to do that, and I was glad that I got to witness it when I watched Hard to Kill. She goes for that DDT there, going right to the cover. 1, 2, and Mercy kicked out at 2, just like Tessa had kicked out at 2 at the No Mercy there from Mercy Phantom. So more exciting things are to come that I'm really excited about. Obviously, we got the Luna Outlaw series that I'm excited to do. We got that series. We also have the Sky's the Limit series as well. That's the website exclusive series. As Mercy hits Merciful here on Tessa Blanchard, and we got plenty of things coming, and I'm excited because I'm proud to say that within the first couple weeks of the website being live, you guys have shown nothing but support for it, and just the amount of traffic that the website has generated is pretty insane. And I've been web designing since I was 13 years old, so it's been something that I've done, for a while now. It's nothing new. It's something that I've made a part of my, I guess, talent repertoire, I guess, if you want to call it that. As Tessa almost looked to steal one there, using the ropes for leverage. Referee didn't see that, though. But I'm very happy that the website kicked off in the way that it did. Generally, I wasn't expecting that much traffic. Within the first day, there was something like 36 unique visitors or 39 unique visitors, meaning that 39 new people had seen the website, and that was only a day of it being live. And yes, I shared it on Twitter. And that may have something to do with it, but just the amount of traffic that has transpired on the website has been absolutely insane. As Mercy again hitting Merciful and going for the cover here, as referee has to get in position here. Count of 2, and Tessa Blanchard with the kick out again. And Mercy thought she had her there. Looking for No Mercy again. Lifting her up here. No Mercy again. Little close to the ropes, though. Oh, and Tessa kicked out at 2.5 again. I thought that maybe, just maybe, Mercy would have got her there. But this match continues as an Irish whip into the corner. Mercy charging ahead and a monkey flip there. And I meant to stream earlier, but I got caught up in some homework I had to do for my journalism class. So I got caught up in that. Now that I think about it, I should have done it earlier, because I could have done it this weekend, because we had a long weekend due to Martin Luther King Day, and I had a long weekend due to me not having Friday classes, but I wanted to relax and spend that time on the weekend to relax, so but I ended up getting it done, so that's all that's important. There's Mercy there with a huge elbow and another elbow, bringing Tessa Blanchard down, but trying to go for the kicks again. Tessa caught her, though. Looking to possibly drag her over to the ropes here. Kick right to the side of the leg, and another one there. She's looking for that DDT again. I believe it's called Magnum, if Find familiar, and she connects with that, looking to get a win over the champion here. 1, 2, and again, Mercy kicked out again. And Tessa is livid, as she thought she had the champion down for the count there. Now, if Tessa's able to get the victory here, you have to wonder, at the next pay-per-view, we're 2 episodes away, it could possibly turn into a triple threat match, and neither Mercy or Luna Outlaw wants that. Because Luna Outlaw had gone in after she had lost the title to Noelle Diamond. She had gone in to a title match to try and win it back, and she lost twice. Once losing the actual title itself, and another time when trying to gain it back. So there may be that lack of confidence there that you may have, as Tessa reversing No Mercy. No Mercy Phantom there and throwing her a little bit. Looking for that Magnum DDT again. Her arms kind of glitch out a little bit there. And another DDT. I don't know what's going on with Mercy's arm. It looks broken to me, but it appears that Tessa Blanchard got the victory over the champion there, and we may have to check on Mercy Phantom there, as her arm appeared to be kind of bending the wrong way as we move on. But that's huge implications ahead of the pay-per-view, as we have Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, the Undisputed Era, going up against the Authors of Pain in Akam and Razor, the tag team champions in the Undisputed Era. They were the ones that went all the way in the tournament to call themselves tag team champions. And here they come out here looking to shock the system of RCW, and that's exactly what they did when winning the tag team titles, as they come out here. No Adam Cole, though. No Adam Cole or Roderick Strong. And the other two of the Undisputed Era. So there was no unfair advantage in the tournament whatsoever. They won it fair and square. Which is something that the Undisputed Era does not have a good history of. But they are the tag team champions, and they are looking to knock off Akam and Razor, the Authors of Pain. Here, and you got to think, with the pay-per-view looming, that we will have that this match will play a big role in whether or not the AOP are the contenders for the title. But you know, just because you win one match doesn't mean really much of anything. But if you get a win over the champions, you could find yourself in a future title spot. As we are underway here, and Kyle O'Reilly starting off against Razor with a super kick, but that didn't do anything. That may have rocked him a little bit, but the big man in Razor, that's not really going to do too much of anything. as the AOP look to make quick work of the RCW Tag Team Champions in the Undisputed Era, picking up Kyle O'Reilly and just throwing him into the ropes. It definitely cannot feel good on the back there. Now working on the arm of Kyle O'Reilly here. And this is not the place that Kyle O'Reilly wants to be, as he is far away from his partner and Bobby Fish there. But a couple of kicks to the hamstring there. Trying to fight back, but Razor again not allowing it to happen. Ooh, but a kick right to the face. And gets dropped. And Kyle O'Reilly here. Now, Kyle O'Reilly with the knee drop. And now making the desperate tag there to Bobby Fish. As he needed to, as he was getting a little bit beat up here in this match. Ooh, and Bobby Fish now with a couple of kicks to the leg. An inverted DDT there. As Razor tried to make the tag to Akam. But Bobby Fish preventing that from happening. Some would call this an upset if the Undisputed Era is able to pull this one off. It seemed like a shoulder tackle there stopped Bobby Fish in his tracks. Irish whip to the corner now. And now Akam is tagged into this match. Look at the power behind these guys, the authors of pain. Definitely will be a threat to their tag team title reign. And it may be short-lived. Hate to say it, but, you know, even though the titles are not on the line right now, if AOP somehow is able to knock off the Undisputed Era, maybe even earlier on, I could say that their title reign could definitely be short-lived. That would be so disappointing considering how far they went in the tournament to gain these titles. When some would have predicted it would have been the Hardy Boys, as Akam makes the tag to Razor. I don't know if that was such a great decision, but as Razor found a way out of it. As Kyle O'Reilly looked for something there, and Razor looking for the cover and a kick out there from Kyle O'Reilly. And we're now just tossing him into the referee. Back body drop though, but the referee is down momentarily, and it seems like he's okay getting up there. Ooh, but a kick right to the midsection. Another kick. And a couple of strikes there. Good striking combination, stopping Razor from making the tag. Good idea here. Tag in Bobby Fish. And what I thought may have been an upset may not be such an upset after all, and the power from Bobby Fish and the knees right to the midsection. Wouldn't think that Bobby Fish would be able to pick up a big man in Razor, but Akam gets tagged in. Bad decision there from Bobby Fish, letting him go. That's the issue here. With big men like Akam and Razor and the authors of pain, you can't take your eyes off of them whatsoever. You got to keep your head in the game here against a tag team like these guys. Now Bobby Fish trying to crawl over to Kyle O'Reilly, desperately looking to make the tag, but Akam stops him. But oh no, Bobby Fish gets an opening though. And a big punch there, creating some separation as Kyle gets tagged in. That's a desperately needed tag, but now Akam is the freshest man in this matchup. They either got to find a way to wear him down or find a way for Akam to just tag in Razor for whatever reason. Ooh, but the elbow right to the face, though, charging in, and a forearm, a running forearm to Akam, and again stomping away at the chest there. If you can't breathe, you're not going to be able to survive in matchups for too long. It's Kyle O'Reilly with the what appeared to be a brain buster into a rope break, though, not realizing that Akam's foot was underneath the rope. Looking to finish Akam, though. Imagine if the Undisputed Era can actually pull this off. Looking for the guillotine choke here. Looking to choke out the big man in Akam. Who knows if that'll happen, though. As Akam is desperately trying to hold on as much as he can here. But Kyle O'Reilly is not letting go of this. He's not allowing Akam to get an inch of breath in, and he may start to fade. He almost got Akam here. Akam's still trying to hang on, and finally Kyle O'Reilly lets it go as it's no use. As he was trying desperately to get Akam under control there, but to no avail. And now Akam making the tag to Razor now. Now Razor is in this match. And a big super kick to Razor, but this time it actually took him down. And what can I say here? The Undisputed Era proving their worth here against the bigger and stronger Authors of Pain. Now this is something that I definitely would have not expected. From the Undisputed Era, let alone the Authors of Pain, and a kick right to the side of the head. And that busted Razor wide open. Putting him in a fish hook here. And a fish hook, and Razor able to get to the ropes here. Again, rope breaks do apply as a big clothesline there, taking down Bobby Fish. It's pretty insane right now as Akam gets finally tagged into this match, and Bobby Fish is right there ready for him. And now the blows to the head here, and a kick right to the midsection area. And Bobby Fish finding a way back with an uppercut there, and taking down Akam there. Tagging in Kyle O'Reilly. And these two somehow are either just getting lucky or finding a way to survive. And now Razor gets tagged back into this match. I don't know how smart this is from the Authors of Pain. You know, they easily could toss around Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly as ragdolls here, but they're choosing not to. They're choosing to let this match go on. And honestly, as much as I would like to say that would play in favor of the Authors of Pain being the stronger men, like, the quickness definitely has a factor in this matchup, and as much as I would have liked to say that the AOP would have mopped the floor with the Undisputed Era is proving otherwise. It's Kyle O'Reilly with another super kick. And again, multiple knees to the back. Try to stomp to the back, but no, and another super kick. Looking for another brainbuster, perhaps. 1, 2, 3, and the Undisputed Era somehow pull off the upset here against the Authors of Pain here. Look at this brainbuster here. That was the rope break there, but it took another brainbuster. And Bobby Fish came right in, wasted no time, came right in. And got the DDT on, which I believe was Razor there. Able to stop Razor from breaking up the pin, and the Undisputed Era able to get that one. As we move on to our next match here with Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor. Now, you could say that this is a dream matchup here, and I would have to agree with you. Let's waste no time here. Like I said, anything can happen in RCW, regardless of where we are in the season. Obviously, we have... How it works is, in case this is your first time, is we have 10 episodes and consider it like a mid-season finale, like of a TV show, right? And then we kind of take a little bit of a short break, and just to allow other people to catch up within the season. Plus, I got to write storylines for the second half of the season, so it gives me time with the people that I've collaborated with and the people that helped me out with the TV show and with RCW here and everything to be able to write the storylines for the second half of the season. I have my buddy John, who I went to school with, who helps me out. My buddy Chaotic and we always talk about wrestling and storylines and stuff like that. And with him being the help of my website and helping out with my website, he's definitely one of the guys that will be doing a good handful of helping me out making those storylines and just making entertaining content for you guys. Because that's ultimately the goal, regardless of, how I feel about the current climate of wrestling. The primary goal is for you guys to be entertained and for you guys to enjoy yourselves. And for me as the content creator to enjoy what I'm doing. And a lot of the storylines that I've done are scenarios that I could definitely see happening in WWE TV if WWE actually let that happen. And that's really the goal, is... because I use WWE superstars here, as you can see, in Finn Balor and Roman Reigns. But I also use the custom superstars, like the Outlaws and everything else, to add a little bit more personal flavor to it. And I give credit to any of those people who use a full creator wrestler universe. Like, I can't imagine the amount of work that it takes to do that. My buddy John Ortolanza does it with his YouTube series and stuff, and it's crazy. Like, he's got like over 90 or 100 wrestlers in that universe, and they're all cause. They're either people that he has created himself or, downloaded. Like Kenny Omega, for example, is an actual wrestler, but he's a CAW according to this game. And it's just insane. And that is the primary goal, is to, entertain you guys and to be entertained and to have some awesome wrestling and good storytelling. I know that can come as a shock and come as, like, not as prevalent in wrestling nowadays. Especially if, like, you only watch WWE and you don't watch AEW and the other things. It can become less prevalent and it can get boring. But the thing that I love about this stuff, and I love about calling the matches and things like that, is that, to me, it never gets boring, because there's always something new that I can do. There's always something that I can try out. A lot of people have asked me, do I play other games like, Call of Duty or, Fortnite or any of that? Like, the Battle Royale games I never really found an interest in, simply because it's the same shit over and over and over. Yes, different things can happen. I guess you can add that factor, like different things can happen in one game versus another. But to me, it's the same thing. It's the whole idea. It's the objective part. You fight other people to win. And in Fortnite, it just happens to be, building. And I kind of, that's the one thing I can give credit to Fortnite, is that, there's a different mechanic to it than just Battle Royale and fighting to the death and getting loot and stuff like that. Like, if you don't know how to build, you're pretty much screwed in that game entirely. I don't know how to build well in that game, and it's not a game that I enjoy to play, so I don't stream it. A lot of times, there are games that I enjoy playing a lot more than I enjoy streaming. Like Call of Duty, I enjoy playing off-stream, but it's not something that I can play for, give or take, an hour or 2 hours. Or I can imagine for those people that go on, that do longer streams, that do 4 to 5 hour streams, or even longer than that, and they play, different games throughout it. But for those people who play Fortnite for 5 hours, like, good for them. But honestly, for me, I can't do that. Like, I can play, like, Call of Duty Zombies for a couple hours. Because I love killing zombies and I love zombies. I could do that for a couple hours. But, like, with WWE and with creative storytelling, like, I feel like I've always been that type of person that's always appreciated stories. Like, with comic book characters and with other things like that, as Roman Reigns has a right hand here on Finn Balor, I've always valued the story of the characters. Not necessarily how badass the superpowers were or whatever, but the story and how those characters made you feel and stuff like that. Those are the kinds of things that I value as a media consumer, as a person who watches TV, as a person who creates content. As Finn Balor gets the missile dropkick here on Roman Reigns, possibly going for the coup de grace next here. And yes, he is. He's looking to connect with that. Looking to connect with the coup de grace, but Roman Reigns got out of the way here. Roman Reigns able to get out of the way, but unable to grab Finn Balor for some odd reason there. Finn Balor going up top, but realizing that Roman Reigns is rolling out to the outside. Oh, but an elbow here. And a clothesline in the corner here, but like I was saying, that's the whole purpose of, wrestling, is storytelling. There's a hero and there's a villain. And in every movie and in every story that you watch or that you read or whatever, even if it's like a news story, there's always that there's always a hero and a villain in any type of story. Whether it's like directly seen or implied. And with wrestling, obviously there's faces and heels and stuff like that. And you know, with my creativeness and with my, I guess, desire for telling a good story, to me it's something that never gets old as Finn Balor kicks out of the spear here. And with the Outlaws, like, there's a lot, you know, when I first introduced them into RCW, when I first introduced them in the show, and it was somebody that I did for the show. And Chaotic, speaking of Chaotic, I was just talking about earlier about the tournament and stuff going on that we did with the women. The Outlaws started out as Brian Outlaw. Like, I gotta tell you guys, when it came to the Outlaws, Brian Outlaw was the only one that I intended of creating. Sky Outlaw, Jason Outlaw, Luna Outlaw, Jack Outlaw, all the other ones, you know, I was planning to create other wrestlers like Zero and Sean Winters, who you will see in time. Zero, you obviously have already seen. Mercy Phantom, you obviously have already seen. You know, but when it came to the Outlaws, you know, Brian Outlaw was the only one that I was intending to create. And that was going to be it. There wasn't going to be Sky Outlaw or Luna Outlaw or whatever. But I thought having a family and, you know, because let's face it, you know, the wrestling has had their fair share of families. You know, the Hart family with Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret the Hitman Hart, Owen Hart, Jimmy Hart, and, you know, The Rock and his dad, and Rip Rocky Johnson, by the way, R.I.P. You know, wrestling, what I've seen is a lot of families get into it. Like, you know, the Usos and Roman Reigns, like, their cousins and their families and their dad, Rikishi, got them into wrestling. And, you know, see, like, wrestling is sort of in the family blood a lot of the times. A lot of the wrestlers that you see, you know, they wrestled with their families, or their families were into wrestling generations, yeah. Generations of wrestlers, as Finn Balor kicks out of the spear yet again, and Roman Reigns doesn't know what to do here. He goes after him again, but yeah, generations. And, you know, there is a mother outlaw. There is a mom. I will say that, but she's too old to wrestle. You know, many of you don't know, or many of you do know, depending on if this is your first time watching it, or if this is your third time, whatever. But if you've been around here for a while, or if I have spoken to you one way or the other, whether it's on Discord or whatever, Finn Balor looks for the coup de grace here, and Roman Reigns gets out of the way again. Looking to roll him up here for some power here. Look at the power from Roman Reigns as he's looking to get the win here. And he's got him. He's got Finn Balor. I thought that wasn't going to be the end of it, but it seemed that Finn Balor had tired himself out and Roman Reigns got the win. But as I was saying, the Outlaws and their struggles and their whole story is heavily based on my real life, my personal life. There are obviously exaggerations thrown in there for the sake of storytelling. Because if I were to make it entirely on my real life, it would be boring. I mean, I'm not to say that I'm boring as a person, and not to say that I haven't been through eventful things. That would be an understatement. But for the sake of storytelling, you're telling a good story, and good stories oftentimes come with good exaggeration. But a lot of that exaggeration is based on something that happened to me that is just overly exaggerated for the sake of entertainment, or vice versa. And I know it's kind of hard to explain, but that is it. And you know what my mission was for the Outlaws initially was to create characters that people could get attached to, because just like with any other TV show, even though this is a freaking video game, just like with any other TV show, creators of anything, content, YouTube, TV shows, whatever. The Walking Dead is a good example of it. They do a really good job with this, where, you know, because the storyline in The Walking Dead, like the actual comic book of The Walking Dead, is over. The TV show obviously differentiates from the way the comic was, but that's besides the point. The point is that The Walking Dead does a good job of making you feel attached to those characters. So when those characters die, because that happens, it's a zombie apocalypse, when they get eaten alive by walkers, or they get killed by Negan, or you know, killed in some way, shape, or form, or whatever, you get upset. Like, you will cry. You know, or they film it, and they do it in such a way that they develop these characters over seasons, so you get to know who they are, and then when they're killed off, you feel as bad as the characters do in the TV show. Like, you feel that effect. You mourn them. Like, you know, you feel really bad. And that's the whole idea of the TV show. And that's one of the things that I like about TV shows like that, like Game of Thrones and other TV shows where, you know, where there's a plot and there's a story that just continues. But over time, the beloved characters can be sacrificed. And it's not to say that the Outlaws, any of them, are going to die. Okay? It's not to say that. Because there's different levels of sacrifice. Obviously. There's like actual life sacrifice, like you die. You know, there's, you know, sacrificing a job for your family. Or there's, you know, there's different levels of that. And all of those different levels of sacrifice we probably experienced one way or the other in our lives. And you know, especially with me being a big awareness guy with mental health, and it being something that I'm, unfortunately, when I say unfortunately, I mean, like, not to shame myself, I just mean that I believe that nobody should ever have to go through anxiety or depression or anything bad. You know, it's like, I wouldn't wish cancer upon somebody. I wouldn't wish depression on anybody or anything of that nature either. You know, it's something that I've dealt with personally, which is why I've been absent from streaming. I've gotten help, and that's all I can tell you guys, is that if you're ever going through something like that, like, don't ever think that there's nobody out there for you. that there's nobody out there that can help you. And no matter what your brain is telling you, or you know, whatever the voice in your head, whatever you want to describe it as, you know, it's something that is very real. You know, and I know this for a fact. It is something that is very real. It is something that is stigmatized a lot by society, and it's something that shouldn't be. And it's something that should be taken seriously. But I want to let you know that, speaking on the type of the Outlaws, that they have dealt with that too. That those characters that you know as the Outlaws have dealt with some of the biggest mental struggles that I've dealt with. Some of the biggest struggles, physical, mental, whatever, that I've dealt with. And my hope is that within sharing that story, it can encourage either you guys that are watching right now, somebody that's out there, to get help if they need it. If they need it. Encourage themselves to keep going, to keep fighting, keep going, whatever you want to, however you want to spin those words, or, you know, just know that they have somebody out there. Because the worst thing that you can do for yourself is when you're in regardless if you have anxiety or if you don't have a mental health disorder or anything, we all go through our rough patches. And the worst thing that you can think, or the worst thing that your brain can tell you, is that you have nobody out there. Or that you don't have a support system. Like, that's the worst feeling in the world, is when you feel like you don't have that. And I want to make sure that all of you guys have that in some way, shape, or form. Whether that's, and I'm not saying I'm a professional therapist. I'm not saying any of that. But to know that somebody has been through it. What I find is that when people find people that have experienced it, that have shared their stories, they start to come to the realization, like, holy shit, I'm not alone in this. Like, this person gets how I'm feeling. That makes me feel a little bit better about myself. Because trust me, when you know that other people have the same stuff that you are dealing with, or similar stuff that you are dealing with, it feels like a weight is lifted off of your shoulders, and that you feel so much more alive. You know, it's something, you know, positive, and it's something that you can take and you can turn it into a positive, and flip it around and take those negative thoughts and turn them into something great. You know, because we all have those times where, you know, we feel like everything is against us. You know, when everything is falling and stuff like that. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to have a, you know, mental health disorder or any type of thing like that to be dealing with it. We all have those rough patches in our lives, you know, whether it's the death of a loved one that, you know, has happened or whatever. And the whole idea of the Outlaws is to help those through that, to share the stories in a different way through wrestling, through in which way you guys know me as a content creator, and to help you guys. Like, I have to admit, it's to help myself too, but at the same time, I want to make sure that other people have a support system too. And that they have something that they can go to, whether it's a, you know, song or a movie or whatever. Something that they can go to. Yeah, it's exactly it, Chaotic. It's exactly it. I'm just speaking from my experiences. Not saying it's going to work for everybody, but... And, speaking of which, I'm taking this sociology class in college. And I have to say, it's one of the most eye-opening classes because there was a piece that my professor went over with us. And it was I think it was called Thinking of the World Differently or something like that. Something along those lines. And it was about, like, mindfulness and being open-minded and, you know, getting to see things from other people's points of view instead of just yours. And, you know, how that can go a long way in not only helping, like, anxiety or, you know, other mental health disorders, but creating a better world. Like, a world, you know, where people aren't labeled by political parties or whatever, and you know, in a world where we can accept each other. And I just thought that was really awesome. Like, I was just like, wow. And that was, like, the first class I attended to. Like, it was... I wasn't prepared to be moved by that. But a lot of what was in that piece was very true. Like, especially when it came to, like, it said something about money, how we obsess over money, and greed. And that is something that happens. You know, as Buddy Murphy gets the win here over Johnny Gargano. Now, Buddy Murphy will be at the pay-per-view, either fighting for the RCW Carnage title or the RCW World title, but it appears that Randy Orton is not allowing him to celebrate, as it seems that Buddy Murphy was looking to send a message to Randy Orton by attacking Chris Danger, which I believe was a week or two ago. And now Randy Orton is looking to send that message back to Buddy Murphy with an RKO. And it seems that we will see Buddy Murphy and Randy Orton for the title. For the RCW Carnage title, that is. At the next pay-per-view. Which is in 2... Yeah, I just seen that. Randy Orton did just blow past the ref. He's just like, screw the ref, I'm going. And we have our main event here with Kenny Omega versus Drew McIntyre. Is that oh, I thought that was Batista for a minute. Real quick before this match actually gets underway, like I said, for the website, I am extremely appreciative of just how much traffic it's gotten within the first couple weeks of it being live. Within, like, the first day, there was, like, 40 people that weren't there before, that haven't visited the site before. And then they did. So that meant like 30 to 40 different people had visited the website one way or the other. And how do I know that? Well, there's an app with Squarespace where you can check the analytics of your website. And that was something that Chaotic and I were talking about, is like, because he was wondering if there was any type of way to check that. And it's pretty amazing because it's just another way for content to get out there. So you guys can see the RCW episodes on the VODs, on my Twitch, and on my YouTube, and on the website. So there's 3 different spots right there to watch all of this content from Season 1 all the way up to Season 6, which is what you're seeing right now. Also, the podcast. I have a couple announcements to make about the podcast. So, I'm happy to announce that after doing a couple episodes of the podcast and kind of getting my feet wet into something new, because at my college I have a radio station, and I did the radio station club for a while, and that was something that I kind of enjoyed. And when I say kind of, I mean because I had an idiot as a partner, okay? When you have somebody that isn't as passionate and into it as you are, it kind of defeats the purpose of anything. Doesn't matter if it's a coworker or whatever, it kind of defeats the purpose. And in a environment like that, where in radio or anything like TV or media oriented, you're going to be working with people, and that's a given. And when you don't have somebody that's on the ball, that knows what they're supposed to be doing, and just completely wrecks it, and you have to sit there and you can't do anything about it. Like, there was nothing I could have done to mediate it. It was that bad. And then I stopped. But in that experience that I had with the radio station, I thought it would be cool to start my own podcast, because I listened to a lot of wrestling podcasts. I listened to Busted Open, which includes Bully Ray, or Bubba Ray, and Mark Henry, as they talk about wrestling. They'll talk about AEW. They'll talk about NXT. They'll talk about whatever's going on. Whatever's going on in wrestling, you name it, they'll talk about it. I've listened to After the Bell, which is the new podcast that WWE was promoting, that Corey Graves did. And I was a little skeptical about it, because I thought it was going to be scripted. Like, I thought it was going to be something where the superstars couldn't say what they wanted, kind of like WWE, with their promos and stuff like that. I thought it was going to be like so controlled to where it was just another show. It wasn't real. It was all an act or whatever. But apparently from Corey Graves, he said that the show is like unfiltered. They gave him full range to do whatever he wants. And I've already heard people drop F-bombs on the podcast. So that means that it's not WWE regulated, since WWE's PG. And I've listened to that. I listened to Bailey on the podcast. He has like multiple guests per episode, and Bailey hung up on him, which I thought was funny. I thought it was great. Because she was like, Corey, what are you doing calling me on my day off? I'm trying to eat lunch. And she got mad, like she was actually really angry. And I don't know if that was the heel character coming out, or if that was the real Bailey. But I remember her saying something like, what do the fans expect me to do? I'm 30-something years old, and what do they expect me to do? Have my hair in a ponytail all the time? Because everybody was like, why'd you cut your hair? Yeah. And I really think part of that Bailey character isn't an act. Like the person, like Pamela, which is her real name, the person behind the character got tired of the BS that was happening on Twitter with fans telling her, oh, Bailey needs a new finisher. Oh,
Bailey needs a new gimmick. Bailey needs this. Bailey needs to stop doing this.
And that's literally what they sound like. Yeah, she should have just let her hair down. In my opinion, she just looks better that way. I will say, though, the short hair kind of grew on me. Like, when I saw her do it, I was like, because I've seen her with her hair down, and I've seen her in, like, dresses for, like, the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. And I was like, you know, what do I want? You know, and I've always been a fan of Bailey ever since she debuted in NXT. And I was like, I don't know why this is, but I'm more judgmental when it comes to celebrity hairstyles than I am of just regular people that I see every day. It's like when Paige got short hair, I didn't like it either. I was mad. Because I was like most of that hair that she has was hair extensions. Like, it wasn't real. Most of it was, you know, the hair extensions. But with longer hair, like, I just preferred her that way. But it grew on me. It did. So speaking of the podcast, it inspired me to do a wrestling podcast, which you know is The Angle, which I've done 3 episodes of. Or no, I will be doing 3 episodes. I've done 2. I did one with Slev86, who you may know as one of the guys that got me into streaming, one of the guys that I met on Twitch. And I did it with a guy, Eddie Defa, or I think that's how you pronounce his Twitch name. He is a former professional wrestler turned streamer. So I did an interview style type of episode with him where I basically asked him about his career, asked him about AEW, asked him about, you know, what it was like to hang out with some of the wrestlers that he knows. Like, because he hung out with Matt Riddle, who is a guy in NXT. He hung out with Marco Stunt, who is a guy in AEW as part of the Jurassic Express. He hung out with some of these famous wrestlers before they were famous. And so, or before they were big names, I should say. Because they were famous at some point. And so I did that kind of podcast, and he basically kind of just explained, we really just talked about his career and what he thought about the wrestling climate nowadays. And basically it's different for every episode. So not every episode is going to have the same style. But I'm happy to announce that I have my buddy Chaotic, who is in stream right now, and his buddy Young Sin, who is also on Twitch. Definitely check him out as well. Both huge wrestling fans. And they're both on board with this podcast. You know, I was telling them about it, and I was telling them like what it entailed. I said, we already talk about wrestling already. You know, even on this channel, without doing RCW and everything else, I always mention wrestling one way or the other. And I already do it, and I already do this for an hour and a half. So if I can do this, and I can plan out storylines, and I can do all this crap, then I can talk about wrestling for an hour and a half with 2 other dudes. So the 3rd episode, I'll give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. Don't want to spoil it, but I will tell you guys it's going to be more about creative freedom and what it does for wrestlers, and what it means to the fans when they see something or they hear something that feels forced. It's like Rosemary cutting a promo, which she's on Impact, and a lot of times they let her do whatever she wants. And then Roman Reigns cutting a promo in WWE where he's basically given a promo and he's just reading off of a script and not doing like bullet points or more or less of an outline. And why having an outline and having that creative freedom makes it watchable. Like, or like, because wrestling is never going to go back to the way it was in the 80s and 90s. Different world. But I have to say that AEW, without giving anything that I'm going to say away, that I'm going to say in the podcast, gives that 80s to 90s feel again. You know, in my opinion, because I've watched the WWE Network and I know how wrestling was back in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. It gives that feel again. It's not for casual fans that just occasionally watch it. It's for people who were fans of it, and especially the older ones that were, you know, people like me, people who are in their 30s or 40s, you know, who are, you know, avid wrestling fans. And so what we will be doing is we will be talking about that and talking about definitely a huge main topic we'll be talking about is Dean Ambrose versus Jon Moxley in terms of character difference and in terms of how, like, WWE definitely flopped the Dean Ambrose heel turn, how they turned something great into something terrible, and just how more beneficial it is for him and for the fans that he is Jon Moxley, that he is the CZW Combat Zone Wrestling Jon Moxley that we know of. Because some of you that don't watch indie stuff, like, when I say I watch wrestling, I watch legit every damn thing. Doesn't matter if it's Young Sin, thank you for the follow, buddy, appreciate it. There you go, you get a gift of Brian Outlaw there. So I watch everything from, like, the $15 Fight TV stuff to the big name WWE pay-per-views on the WWE Network. So I'll watch Rise or WOW, which is Women of Wrestling, or Shimmer, which is an all-women's wrestling league. You know, I'll watch everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Wrestling is wrestling at the end of the day. But to me, WWE has turned into more of the soap opera and not wrestling in this climate. If you want my honest opinion. But then again, wrestling is wrestling at the end of the day. Doesn't matter what promotion it is or whatever. And one of the things that I definitely want to talk about on one of the episodes of the podcast, maybe on episode 4, is the wrestling fan base. And how, like, it's so widespread. And how it's so toxic. You know, whether you're a WWE fanboy or you just love wrestling. It seems to me that in the world of wrestling, you can't like more than one promotion, apparently, according to a lot of the wrestling fan base. You're either AEW, WWE, Impact, or nothing at all. And that's not true. But apparently, the wrestling fan base does not shy away from making you feel that way. That you have to... That it has to be a war. That it has to be WCW versus WWF again. And to me, when that was around, when WCW and ECW and WWF were the 3 biggest wrestling promotions in the world, and it was separate, it was the glory days of wrestling. And the reason why I think that is because it gave different flavors for different people. It's like that sort of thing when you go to, like, an ice cream shop and you have all those ice cream flavors, right? And you have that whole selection to look from. Bad example, but kind of the same thing. You know, they have all these different flavors, you know, for different tastes. But at the end of the day, it's still ice cream. You know what I mean? So it's like the same thing with wrestling. It's the same thing. Different flavors, different tastes. And I think when you have, even though Impact has kind of fallen off the map, when you have a company like AEW, this new emerging company, it's, to me, I don't see it as competition to WWE. I don't see it. What I see it as is I see it as an opportunity for Vince to be like, okay, there's this new wrestling company around. People are excited about it. Viewership. It gets viewership. How can I make my promotion better? Or how can I make my promotion great? You know, that's how I see it. I don't see it as competition. And the reason why I don't see it as competition is simply because WWE's been around for so damn long, like, it's not going to go anywhere. Like, it's not like AEW is going to just wipe WWE off of the face of the earth. Vince McMahon is too freaking stubborn, too freaking rich to allow that to happen. It's just not going to happen. And I honestly, if you're more entertained by AEW, then you're more entertained by AEW. If you're more entertained by WWE, then you're more entertained by WWE. I'm not going to... I've been to... I'm going to an AEW show in a couple months. I'm really excited because I actually was the one to comment on their Instagram post and tell them where to go, because they were like, where do you want to see us in 2020? And I was like, oh, you know, I want to see you guys here, or I want to see you guys here. And I like named like 3 local places around me, and one of those places just happened to be a part of the schedule. And in perfect timing, it's the same week that I will be meeting the legendary JR Jim Ross. So, literally, on Tuesday, I think it's on Tuesday, I'll be meeting JR at his podcast, and then the next day after that, I'll be going to AEW. So, you know, it's awesome. Me and my buddy are going together, and we're excited. We're absolutely excited about it, and we can't wait. And I will definitely blog about it on my website. I will definitely blog about it. You will see pictures from AEW. You will see pictures. Same thing when I go to SmackDown, as you get One Winged Angel here from Kenny Omega. Same thing when I go to SmackDown in March. So I'm going to SmackDown, AEW, and meeting JR in March. So I have a very eventful March month. You'll be definitely seeing some pictures from there. That is I believe it is the Raw or the SmackDown a couple weeks before Fastlane happens. So I'll be not necessarily when I blog about it, I'll probably not like include a review per se, as we get a V trigger here from Kenny Omega. And a kick out by Drew McIntyre there. And, but I'll be blogging about it in the sense of where I think it's going to lead. What are my thoughts on the new tag champs and Buddy Murphy? What is it? Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins, I think it is. One Winged Angel here from Kenny Omega. Oh, and Drew McIntyre kicked out. They made the Viking Raiders look weak. Yeah. I don't even know why they did that. I haven't even watched the full episode of Raw yet, but I know that they changed the titles. And I wouldn't even consider Buddy Murphy and frickin' Seth Rollins even a tag team. They're just a stable. Like, there's a difference between a stable and a tag team. He's just part of, like, the AOP, that's a tag team. The whole thing with Seth Rollins and the AOP and Buddy Murphy, that's a stable. That's not a tag team. So to give the titles to a non-tag team, per se, just seems kind of weird to me. Yeah, AOP, yeah. If they gave him the AOP, I wouldn't have been mad at that. I would not have been pissed about that at all. As we look for another V-trigger here. V-trigger again on Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre again kicks out at 2.5. Man, what a match this is. You could say that this is a match made in heaven, and that's exactly why I made it. I have to wonder if the mind games of Seth Rollins are getting into Kenny Omega's head here. But it doesn't seem so as he looked for one-winged angel here. But Drew McIntyre reversed that and went a super kick. And another knee strike there. Quick knees here from Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, hands down. But I love Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho more than anybody else in AEW right now. I love Chris Jericho just because of his veteranship and what he does. And if you want to hear more about that, you can check out my blog that's on my website. And it's called Jericho, the Gift of Wrestling. And he literally is a gift in wrestling. And sometimes I feel like the fans don't realize just how lucky they are that Chris Jericho is 50 years old and still wrestling. So, they don't realize how lucky they are to have him. And another one-winged angel here. And Kenny Omega with the victory here in our main event against Drew McIntyre. I think The Miz and Morrison taking SmackDown. Yeah, I think that could happen. Since they were a tag team in the past and they won the tag team championships in the past, I don't see it. Okay, so real quick, before we end off the stream here, I want to. Never mind, Seth Rollins is not gonna let me talk. Seth Rollins. Apparently, Seth Rollins is not gonna let me do my spiel and attack Kenny Omega with a super kick. Never mind. Seth Rollins interrupted me. And the Revolution knee here from Seth Rollins to Kenny Omega. And again, Seth Rollins with a little bit of payback there. And we're definitely going to see those two fight off at the pay-per-view. And now that the show has ended, I can give you guys just real quick what I want to happen at the Royal Rumble. Not what is rumored. Not what's on those dirty wrestling rumor sheets. What I want to happen. Or what I believe needs to happen. And I'm not talking about returns. I would be happy to see like Nia Jax return. For sure in the women's. But okay, so real quick, I see Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble, the men's, because of what happened to him, because of his cancer, because of the fact that he had to relinquish the Universal title to treat his leukemia, and then he came back. And I think him going to WrestleMania after beating a terrible disease in leukemia and having a successful comeback story, if you will, have that comeback story feel, and having him beat either The Fiend or Brock Lesnar. Honestly, I want him, as much as I would want him to win the Universal title, I don't want Bray Wyatt to lose, because Bray Wyatt lost at WrestleMania, lost I believe it was the World Heavyweight Championship to Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And the way that they're booking the Fiend, I want him to, sort of be this indestructible guy, like the way that they're booking him. And having him lose at WrestleMania would just make him look weak. Because The Fiend is not Bray Wyatt. The Fiend is a being of something else. He is not the Bray Wyatt that we know. He is a creature. He is something else. Just like the demon assassin Rosemary is different from Courtney Rush. That's same person, different persona, different personality, different powers, different supernatural stuff. Drew needs to win. I wouldn't be mad at that either if Drew won. I feel like Drew needs his time as a top guy. And I feel like he's sort of gotten down to the mid-card guy, and I see him as a main event guy. So I wouldn't be mad at that either, Youngson. I definitely wouldn't be mad at that. Now, the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, I'm going to mention two things that need to happen, that desperately need to. And I say need to because it's the only way that I could see this working, or this being worthwhile. We all know that Bayley's the bad guy now. Which makes her 10 times better. As a Bayley fan, I'm going to come across as biased. A little bit. But I love Bayley's character right now, simply because I see shades of the outlaw character in her. And I love it. She said, "Screw all of you." And that is literally the greatest thing ever. I was like, yes, she is bad. She's 10 times better now. I specifically hated the hugging gimmick because I thought it was stupid. Granted, as a man, I wouldn't say no if Bayley offered to give me a hug, okay? I'm not blind, I can see. Okay? So I wouldn't say no. But here's how I see it paying off. And this is what I said in my blog. And that was in a blog that I said how WWE can pay off Bayley's incredible run. She is the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion in history. She surpassed Becky Lynch as the longest reigning Women's Champion in history right now. Between the Raw and SmackDown titles. And so what I see that needs to happen here is we got Bayley and Sasha, both heel, both awesome. I love both of those women. The matches that they put on together in NXT are killer. Absolutely killer matches. And with that in mind, this needs to happen. So we already know that Bayley is against Lacey Evans, the sassy Southern Belle, at the Royal Rumble for the women's title. Bayley wins that match, okay? There's no way she's dropping it. I can bet you $10 that Bayley is not going to drop the title at the Royal Rumble. It's just not happening. Here's how I see it happen. I see this happening. Somewhere down the line, in that match, or after the match, either or. I don't care how this happens. It just needs to happen. Either Bayley or Sasha turns on the other person. So either Sasha, and in my opinion, it would be beneficial if Sasha went babyface and Sasha turned on Bayley, and then goes to the Women's Royal Rumble match, is in the Royal Rumble match, Sasha Banks wins the Royal Rumble match, and has to face, and chooses to face Bayley at WrestleMania, in which Sasha Banks wins the title at WrestleMania, thus capping off one of the most incredible rivalries, and not only that, but reigniting one of the most incredible rivalries we had seen in NXT, because those women literally beat the snot out of each other in NXT, and that was phenomenal. Those women have such a connection with each other in the ring that it's uncanny, okay? And Sasha hasn't won the SmackDown Women's title yet. So, having her beat her best friend for it, let me tell you, perfect storytelling. I'm just saying that's and if that doesn't happen, I'm going to say this. Why turn Bayley heel then? Why? Because at this point, the Lacey feud is stupid. It does nothing. It does nothing for Bayley. And does nothing for Lacey either. When it comes to a rivalry, I want it to benefit both people, or both parties. So, how does this benefit Sasha? She wins. She wins the title that she never won. And she becomes champion. She beats her best friend. Somebody who she has really good chemistry in the ring with. Makes a great match. Has that WrestleMania moment, which I believe she hasn't had a WrestleMania moment. I know that she has takeovers, but nothing ever beats having that WrestleMania moment, being in front of tens and thousands of people, capturing a championship. Nothing ever beats that. Nothing. So she'll have that WrestleMania moment, and Bayley, in terms of her character, that'll make her pissed off, because she'll think that Sasha Banks is better than her, and she'll have to accept the fact that she was the better woman, and that's going to be hard for her character, because it's hard to accept that your best friend is better than you at something. Trust me, that happens in real life. So for Bayley's character, it's going to be hard for her to swallow that she lost to her best friend. That's going to be a tough pill for her to swallow. And that'll just create good storytelling. So those are my predictions in pretty much the most meaningful way. As far as the other matches, I could care less for them. I don't see Daniel Bryan beating The Fiend. I see them putting on a good match, but I don't see it happening with... I don't see The Fiend losing the title until after WrestleMania. Because I feel like Bray Wyatt himself needs that moment at WrestleMania where he retains the title, because he lost it. He got screwed over with his WWE Championship run. So I feel like to redeem that, they need to have him win at WrestleMania. I don't want to see him lose. So you either have Drew take on Brock Lesnar and beat Brock, or have Roman take on Brock Lesnar and beat Brock. Because he's the one that beat Brock for the Universal title. So, so those are my predictions. Definitely, I'll possibly have a blog about it, probably within this week, because Royal Rumble's this Sunday. And you guys can comment on it, and you guys can decide your predictions. I'm pretty sure on the podcast, we'll find a segment where we talk about that. The Royal Rumble. I'll make sure that we have a slot for that, and we just talk about predictions that we have, and stuff. And yeah, as far as when the podcast is, I will have to get in talks with Chaotic and Young Sin to discuss that. A lot of times I would like to do it on Fridays was the number one thing. And I feel like Fridays is going to be good for me because of the fact that I'm off on Fridays as far as like school-wise. So I may actually be able to get a double stream, one with RCW or one with video games and one with the podcast. The podcast is probably going to be later, probably around 7:30, maybe 8, and we'll go for an hour, depending on when Chaotic gets out of work and everything else. And we'll all figure it out. We'll all post it on social media and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm excited because it'll be a website exclusive, meaning that it'll be streamed here on Twitch and then it'll be transferred over to the website. So, yeah. As far as the other series, like the Luna Outlaw series and the Sky Outlaw series and all that other stuff, that's coming soon. Check out the trailers for them. They are on my YouTube channel and they are also on the website as well. And again, that website is right here. Let me just quickly go to it. I know that the bot sends a link, but I'm going to send another link anyway. There you go. So it's ProWrestlingGA.com, and there you will find all of my wrestling content, including blogs, including the RCW series, so this will be up there, and other things, as well as the podcast, and any other exclusive content, like any other my collaboration content. So what I want to do is I want to, I'll have Chaotic download the first stream, the tournament stream that he did, that we collaborated with, and I will have that on a website for you guys. Because I want that to be there, because that is something that we did. And this website is not just for me, and it's not just for RCW, and it's not just to grow my channel. This is a website to help grow other wrestling content creators' channels, to collaborate with, and to do other things with. So, with wrestling being less saturated and the wrestling video games being less saturated, that's what we want to try and do. So, you will find that on there. You will also find an RCW roster, giving you exclusive access to screenshots, or not screenshots, but pictures of the superstars with a little bit about them, a little bit of their backstories, and as well as a gallery where you will find screenshots and quotes from superstars at which they have said. We will update those accordingly, maybe some pay-per-views, screenshots, or some special things like that. And I will definitely take that screenshot that Chaotic did for what was her name? Amy Collins, yes. And put that on the website. She is the Epic Wrestling League champion. Or women's champion, I should say. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on there, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. We plan to have more content up there for you guys to see, and I'm really excited. Again, thank you guys for the amount of traffic. We will have one anniversary special, so January 7th of 2021. We will have one anniversary specials. Maybe we have a 1 anniversary stream to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of the website. And that'll be something down the road. Every month, so every 7th of every month, I will be like posting like the analytics to like compare to the month of January to the month of February, to kind of show you guys some growth, because some of you guys like to see that, and I always like to be thankful for that and to give my thanks for that. This is something that costs money to run. This is something that costs a lot of time, and just like with anything and everything I do, I give my 110%, and that is heavily needed with a website, and that's why I trust Chaotic, and that's why when I was telling Chaotic about it, I trust him, and him and I have a good collaborative relationship going. So with that in mind, he is all in, I'm all in, Young Sin's all in, and we hope to bring our communities together into one. So it's not just Chaotic's community, it's not just Young Sin's community, it's not just my community here on Twitch. All of us love wrestling. All of Chaotic's community, all of Young Sin's community, anybody that comes to our channels, like Chaotic streams like throwback games and stuff like that, but the primary thing that he does is the wrestling stuff. So primarily people come there, for the wrestling stuff, especially the tournament that we put on, which was phenomenal. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to make wrestling bigger, wrestling games bigger, and everything else that has to do with wrestling a lot bigger. Because we know that people watch wrestling on TV. We know it's a part of TV. But in the gaming world, it's falling flat. And it's not ever going to be as saturated as Fortnite is. It's probably never going to reach the type of fan base that Call of Duty has. But if we can make that bigger through content like RCW, through content like the EWL tournament, even though that was like a little thing that him and I did, you would be surprised the amount of positive feedback and the positive reception I got from that, and Chaotic got from that, and everything else that went into that. So much effort was put into this. Like weeks and weeks of planning this was stressful yet fun. Just because we wanted to make sure everything was going right. And I'm in constant talks with him almost every day of the week. With that in mind, we're in full throttle, and maybe you'll see some collaborations with some other series, hint, hint, coming along. So, with that being said, thank you guys for joining me today. And in case you missed any of this stream, it'll be up on my YouTube channel. It'll also be up on my website, edited and everything, so you won't see the starting soon screen and any of that other bullcrap. You won't see any of that. But it's good to be back. I felt like this was a really good return stream as we get closer and closer to the RCW pay-per-view. As far as the Luna Outlaw and Brian Outlaw, my career Universe Mode series, I will be recording some of those tomorrow, hopefully, and yeah, and I'll probably do a crap ton of recording on Friday as well, because that's my day off. So, thank you guys for joining me, and this is gonna be a wild ride, and I've been doing this for 1 year and a couple months, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 year and it's 1 year and 5 months to this day. August 21st last year is when we started. August 21st is of last year is when we started RCW. So it's been 1 year and 5 months since, if my math is correct, since we've started this, and it's been insane. We have Zero, we have Luna Outlaw, we have Sky Outlaw, we have Brian Outlaw, we have all of these creative characters that you guys have come to know and love, and trust me, they're not going anywhere. So, with that in mind, thank you guys, and I will catch you guys next time. Well, real quick, let's see who we can be generous to and raid. Let's see, is my pal Bruno. Yes, he is. I was wondering if he was streaming or not. So with that in mind, we're going to raid my buddy Bruno Shakazulu. He is a real fun dude. Hopefully you guys love him. He's real fun, real chill. Always makes fun of me, but it's all in good fun. So hopefully you guys like him.